I grew up in communist Eastern Germany. I was born in 1973, and my father was an artist and sort of a hippie. He did not feel that he got along with society at large. The things that he was interested in were not completely aligned with the way in which society was run. So he removed himself from it and got a watermill in a very beautiful remote valley, and then did his art for all of his life and still does to this day. And I grew up in this very beautiful and somewhat remote place. And I spent a lot of time in nature and enjoyed this very much. And on the other hand, I did not have many people to talk to. So I got bored and I started to read. And by the time I got into public school, I read many of the books until fourth grade and science fiction and other stuff. Where the house was full of books. And in some sense, I was lost for the education that my teachers tried to give me. And my intuition was usually when teachers say something that they are either confused or they're lying. That was because I was quite immature. Of course, I was a young child that did not know how other people operated. And so I was unable to sync with the minds around me. And until I got into a school for mathematics and sciences in ninth grade. I basically met nobody that I had the impression that I could interact with on any meaningful level. And so I basically was an autonomous mind. I was looking at the world from the perspective of an outside observer, of an alien. And that was exacerbated by living in a communist country where the epistemology was weird, because it was a highly ideological society in which philosophy was always seen through the lens of a vulgar interpretation of Marxist-Leninism. And so everything was seen from whether it was reflecting the role of the working class in the proper way. And having philosophical conversations and so on within academic philosophy and so on was difficult. I was strongly influenced by the ideas of cybernetics, for instance, authors like Stanislaw Lem, Polish science fiction author who basically formed a lot of the ideas of the 1960s in his own mind, and then decided that he didn't want to go into academic cybernetic research because the time was not right yet. And instead, he tried to influence the world by writing stories and philosophical parables. And I also read many of the classics in that time. I was like a sponge. And when I left school, I thought about what to do next. And I was most interested by the idea of understanding how our own minds work. And that was something that fascinated me from a very young age. I was sitting in the early 80s, in 1983, roughly, in front of a Commodore 64. I taught myself how to code. And I had realized that everything that I could fully understand, I was able to put into this computer within the limits of the hardware, of course. But I realized that there would be faster computers with more memory available at some point in the near future. And I was wondering what if I could, what is that I would want to put inside of the computer? And the answer was a whole universe.